It's a bright sunny morning in mid-May, and thousands of young people from around the world have assembled in the field house on the campus of Lawrence Technological University in Southfield, Michigan. They've come from Mexico, Korea, Canada, and all over the United States with one thing on their minds: robots. No, this isn't a science fiction convention. This is a collection of some of the brightest young thinkers in science and engineering found anywhere in the world. This is a look into the future of industry, medicine, entertainment, and technology. This is a competition where the true winner is a society who will benefit from the creations of these young innovators. This is a championship where a select few will separate themselves from the rest through creativity and calculation. This is Robofest.
Robofest is basically a celebration of our students' curiosity about robots.
One of the math professors here at Lawrence Tech, Dr. C.J. Chung, actually developed the Robofest program.
He's passionate about robotics education, and so when he founded Robofest back in 2000, it was all about the kids. It was all about encouraging them to use their creativity, to learn about robotics, to learn the technology and use it in creative ways.
I myself was involved in a robot soccer competition, and I developed a robot to play soccer. While I was doing that project, I myself was learning a lot than traditional classes. So I thought robotics is a really wonderful for promoting education. So that's the reason why I started this Robofest, because I knew myself that robotics is really a motivator for education, and robotics is really good to learn more about math and science.
Science, technology, engineering, and math. These four disciplines, often abbreviated as STEM, become increasingly crucial to the success of young people as they pursue higher education and ultimately enter the workforce. One of Robofest's primary goals is to spark an interest in these core subjects, and it's clear from talking to some of the world finalists, this spark has started a fire.
Robots, because it's fun watching them, and obviously robotics is going to be the future. Already it's becoming the future, like what we're working on.
Robotics for me, I enjoy using my brain to make something else do something precisely, and using a high amount of accuracy. That gives me like an adrenaline rush.
It feels like you've accomplished something. It feels like you've been able to really solve a tricky problem that you know that not a lot of people will be able to solve.
I like robotics because it innovates the future.
If I find a creative solution to a problem, I'm really excited about it. And it's like, yes, this is really cool.
Just what are these problems being solved so creatively? Robofest is split into two main competitions, the game and the exhibition. The game portion presents competitors with a unique challenge that the robots must complete totally autonomously.
The game competition this year is called Search, Rescue, Clean Up, and Calculate. So the robots, again, have 2 minutes to accomplish these four tasks. It's designed on a scenario where there's a disaster area, like for instance what happened after the tsunami, and of course the toxic spills from the nuclear reactor. So the idea is you have a robot that's going to go into this toxic area. It needs to rescue some people who are trapped in this area, who are actually represented by a Kleenex box wrapped in black paper. And then you have toxic waste that needs to be removed from the area in white wrapped boxes. Then the toxic area is a geometric shape, either a circle for junior division or a triangle for senior division. And the teams, again, need to figure out how large that toxic area is, so they need to somehow measure the area of either the circle or the triangle using their robot.
My teammate Owen and I decided to do that this year, and we started building. We had a few concept ideas, and we ended up going with a very brick-like robot.
You've practiced and practiced and practiced, and you discover that once you get up there and the chips are all down and it's about to run, suddenly you discover something glitches just randomly. It's Murphy's Law. It's the classic bane of programmers. We sort of have the programming not memorized, but we have basic ideas of when it's executing certain commands. So we'll say, oh, I think that number was wrong. We need to change that. And then we'll go back, change it, run it again, run it again, run it again. Hope that it doesn't mess up when we next get up to the competition table. So there is a little bit of excitement.
I would say that the building and the programming are of equal importance, but the programming for us was definitely harder. We hit several roadblocks, but we were able to come up with obscure ways to solve them and include that into the programming.
It just gives me a thrill to see something working perfectly. It's like, I did that, I made this robot work with a really cool solution.
It's just a phenomenal way to draw people together from all different backgrounds, all different interests. And so it's a great time to celebrate technology education and robotics education.
Some of the kids, might not necessarily realize that they like something technical, and it actually lets them experience it, kind of in a non-threatening environment. They do pick up science skills, they do pick up math skills, the computer skills, the programming, engineering, designing some of these things, actually building it. They do it all themselves, so we just kind of guide them. So really, from educational perspective, it's a valuable tool, it's a valuable experience for them.
We have students from 5th through 12th grades who compete in 2 different divisions. 5th through 8th grade students compete in junior division. 9th through 12th grade students compete in senior division. In all of our competitions, the robots must be completely computer programmed by the students. The robots are built by the students.
I think the competition is something that really gets kids excited about doing the math and science. They don't realize that they're learning in the process, that they're doing work and learning scientific and math concepts, because they're so caught up in how can we make this better to beat the other team or something like that. And I think that is a huge strength of something like Robofest, is the kids really enjoy it, the kids really get into it, and then they do amazing things in the process.
I grew up in the era of slide rules. I didn't even have a calculator until I graduated from high school and entered college. These kids don't know life without computers. They don't know life without devices, electronic devices. And so what they will come up with in terms of new, groundbreaking technology, we can't even imagine. Those of us of my generation, we can't even imagine, because they think differently. They see the world differently.
Again, the students are working with basically, especially at the senior level, pretty much industry-ready computer programming code.
I tell them over and over again when I have a chance to talk to them, I could not begin to do what they do. I can't build a robot, I can't program a robot. It amazes me what kids at a very young age are able to do. The technology is all around them, they have embraced it, they have developed it to an amazing level for such young men and women.
One of those young people who has embraced both the education and competitive aspects of Robofest is Callum Aldred from nearby Southfield Christian High School. He and his team came into this year's vision-centric competition as defending champions. Growing up in the shadow of Lawrence Tech has only pushed him toward facing the challenges of Robofest head-on.
I think being just down the road at Southfield Christian from Lawrence Tech, the opportunity to compete in these competitions, year after year, just from a young age, just because it's always around. Like, you always hear about it, there's lots of stuff going on. So that experience has really been invaluable. The challenge is actually very similar to what it was 2 years ago. But we had to make sure that our code was wasn't going to bug or freeze up on us. The most important thing is to make sure you know what went wrong. That's the first thing to check, is to really make sure you know, all right, here's what the program did, here's why it went wrong, and then go back into that piece of the code and say, all right, let's try this, let's try that. And you just keep trying little things until that piece works, and you move on to the next challenge. It's so important. Everything nowadays is done on a computer. So being able just a little bit to get a computer to do what you want it to do is really important. And also being able to solve problems that keep coming up, finding different ways to solve them that other people wouldn't think of, thinking outside of the box to solve problems. Well, because if you just think of, a lot of times you write a piece of code and you think, oh, it's perfect, it's going to work, and it doesn't. You have to keep thinking of what might work instead. It's important to be creative because your first thought almost never works. You have to keep trying to modify it until it does work, and until you've solved the little glitches that happen.
It's amazing to see the creative ideas that the kids come up with. And it makes it really difficult to judge, to compare such interesting ideas.
First comes creativity and curiosity. When you want to know what happens, then is the math and science when you really implement what you're trying to do.
Creativity may not be the first thing people think of when it comes to STEM education, but rest assured that thinking outside the box is essential to a team's success at Robofest. Nowhere is that more evident than during the exhibition portion of the competition. Here, teams have the creative freedom to come up with their own original robots and must present them to the judges. Most teams aim to solve an everyday problem with a robotic solution, but Sophia Angelina and her team from Lighthouse Robotics in Palm Harbor, Florida, showed the judges that there can be more to robots than gears and sensors. When asked about the practicality of her team's medieval-themed robots, Sophia was ready with a very scientific counter-argument.
The judges actually say that a lot. This isn't practical. Why would we use this in normal life? So I usually just say, this is just a demo of what it could do. They could be used for a lot more. The robot on the string could be a drone that goes around buildings. The robots that walk on two legs could be nurses. The animal robot, it could be used for like spy missions and dangerous cleanup for areas that aren't habitable for humans.
We thought for like 3 weeks on what theme, and we finally decided on medieval. Medieval brings, well, entertainment to our expo, and it brings creativity.
Life was good except for the problems of death and the dangerous dragons. We're looking for a variety of robots, so we thought in all the videos there aren't any robots that actually walk like humans, and the gator bot looks really cool. Let's do one of them. And we need something special, so we developed the flying robot, which goes back and forth on a string.
It changed my approach to pretty much everything. Instead of just giving up, walking away, get stronger, try harder, and do it. Just go for it.
Palm Harbor didn't have the only exceptional entry in this year's exhibition, not by a long shot. The WASP team from Canton, Michigan, excited by the opportunity offered by the exhibition, took a very personal inspiration and turned it into a championship presentation.
It's actually really fun. Like, you are in an exhibition, you're not given a task. You can, like, it's your creativity, you can come up with whatever you want. It's really fun to actually just like work with the team, build something that works, and like see it work, and like you know, like show what you want to do. It's really fun to do that.
Cars talking to each other, do they like use speakers or something? No, they don't. The cars use radio waves to communicate with each other.
I feel there's a need in the world. Like, we're constantly trying to develop, and since we're like trying to be optimistic, we want to like identify new ways to help, and it doesn't have to be like something that like big and everyone realizes. We can start small.
The cars take their turn at the intersection. Nobody cuts the lines, and they all leave safely.
It's important to have that freedom, because when you grow up and you decide to, and you choose to be like a designer or something, no one's gonna give you a limit unless you're doing a certain project or something. You gotta go out there and show the world something new. Something that will inspire the world to buy your product, build off of your product, just help society.
But how do the cars know what road they are on and whether they are entering or exiting the intersection?
At the time there was Hurricane Sandy. We were thinking of doing things like hurricane protection. And then as we spent a couple of days meetings thinking about this. One meeting, Daniel just shows up. He's like, guys, my car's totaled. We go outside, see that, and right away we're just like, we need to do something about this.
Me and my mom were just driving to our actual meeting place, which was Bonna's house. And then like while we were nearing the intersection at Palmer and Sheldon, a drunk driver crashed into us and our car basically got totaled. Luckily, we weren't like at the intersection yet, or else we would cause a pile up. But like after that incident, it led us to realize that like just how safe and like even sometimes inefficient intersections can be. So we wanted to like, robotics, we believe it's a way to help the world, and we want to be that driving force. So we wanted to create a way that we could actually like prevent these accidents from happening. That's what led us to this.
Did you get that, Mustafa? Sure, Daniel. Aha! I noticed that the car slowed down in the school zone. Don't tell me there's some science behind that too, is there?
After our research, we showed that there's like 70,000 accidents that happen alone in the U.S. at these stop signs. And we thought, like, wow, that's a big number. We want to, like, prevent that. We want to hopefully reduce that down to 0.
This problem was more personal to us because we actually felt it. So we feel like we get commercials and everything on TV about buckle up, don't drink and drive, stuff like that. Well, I don't think people really listen to that. So when someone goes out there and actually does something about it, people start to feel this duty to actually do something about it.
The sensor sends out infrared waves and knows the proximity of the object by sensing how fast the waves come back.
We had a skit, like Mustafa, he would come in hurt, like that he had a crash in the intersection, and then we would ask what happened, and then he would say, I got in a crash and I wish this would happen. And we would tell him what a coincidence. We would be working on autonomous cars that drive themselves, and he would ask questions of how do you work it and different questions, and we would answer the questions.
Oh, this all looks pretty complicated. How did you guys develop all the logic?
Think of it this way, if you're the only person on Earth, you've got every freedom. When there's other people, you feel this sense to interact with them, actually see what they have and what you have and compare it, and then you have this like goal to be decent in life and like actually play with the possibilities. So go out there and show the world what you have.
We think that we can actually sell our idea and get filthy rich pretty soon. Want to join our team? Sure, Daniel. I want to be a millionaire too.
Looking around the gym here at LTU, one notices pretty quickly that this is more than just a collection of the best from the United States. Robofest brings together the cream of the crop from around the world for the World Championship. And though competitors may speak different languages, they all find common ground when it comes to science.
One of the greatest triumphs of science is to see so many people from different countries, different ethnicities coming together to create something. And I love seeing that aspect at Robofest.
To see the flags come in and to see the kids carrying their banner, so to speak, and being proud of where they're from.
To be able to represent Michigan and the United States in a world championship is a really cool experience, to be able to compete against teams from other countries and, even be able to beat them a lot of the time, because we won the world championship in the Visiting Centric Challenge last year. It was pretty cool.
I think it's good to see a bunch of other people from the world coming up, showing that they can be leaders as well in robotics.
Well, the involvement of teams from all over the world is just evidence that kids are kids. And what is exciting to a kid in Texas isn't that much different than what excites a kid in Seoul, Korea.
They have different ideas and I have my ideas, but in the end they are all the same.
We play the first note if a person to all the notes are in diaries. The ones that are similar are taken to a new table.
We're a small private school in Waterford and our kids aren't exposed to very much diversity. So by coming to the Robofest, they're seeing other countries, seeing how kids learn and develop, and so I think they're exposed to a lot more than just our little area.
We are now generating random notes and then we can play them.
It has two sides, because from one side you feel really proud of what you're doing, and for another side you feel like this pressure, like you're representing your country, so it's a really big pressure.
I feel proud of it because as we are only 3 teams and we are from the same school, I feel good about it. I feel nervous but good.
There's a certain amount of pride saying I got to here when there is other countries competing. So it's not just the United States, it's not just a national competition, it is literally a world competition.
저에겐 정말 소중한 기회입니다. 이런 대회를 참여할 수 있는 기회도 흔치 않을 뿐만 아니라 제가 원하는 이제 발명이란 분야뿐만 아니라 로봇이라는 분야에서 참여할 수 있는 기회는 흔치 않은데 이렇게 미국에 와가지고 이렇게 참여할 수 있다는 게 정말 저는 아직도 믿기지 않고 놀랍습니다.
One of the most impressive teams comes from our neighbor to the north. The MDs from Toronto represented their country with pride on their way to a second-place finish with one of the more ambitious exhibitions found in the field.
I think it is so important for this country and the free world that our children are very much leaders in this field, because they're going to be designing the future cars, the airplane, the homes, the vehicle, the buildings, particularly, most importantly, the healthcare.
We were supposed to be a local competition of regionals, but there were only a few teams who signed up, so instead we were forced to submit a video submission. So we came in through the video submission, and we luckily got first.
I'm able to use the rear remote to control the spectrometer to get a nice full scan of the tissue sample.
It feels exhilarating, like we're supporting Canada. Even though there's other teams, it's still pretty fun and enjoyable. Feels like we're doing something to the folks back in Toronto.
It feels great to know that I'm participating in a worldwide, not a small competition, but a huge competition, because there are many countries in this. So right now, I'm not really focused about like Toronto, but I'm focused on getting this achievement and winning and making a statement in this competition.
People are using robots more and more. Robots on Mars, robots in volcanoes, robots in the medical field, such as what we're displaying.
Well, the problem we're trying to find out is if we can give an immediate response to the surgeon on whether or not he did a good job on removing the cancer tissue. Because today, say the surgeon takes out the cancer tissue and sends it to a lab to be analyzed.
But what if the surgeon can know immediately whether you did a good job in removing all the tissue or not? That's where we make a difference.
But usually the analysis takes a few days, maybe even a few weeks. But what we're doing is we reduce that time to minutes.
The spectrometer used in our design is just one of the 5 main parts. There's a conveyor belt which transports the sample.
But say the surgeon did not do a good job. As you know, cancer has uncontrolled cell division, therefore leading it to spreading more easily, so it may be too late then. So if we give an immediate response, it'll slow down the spread and we can immediately remove the cancer. And we do this by using a spectrometer.
As you can see, there are many structural differences between a cancer cell and a normal cell, therefore giving it a different spectrum.
Feels really nice helping people out because, you know, cancer hurts people a lot. 7.4 million deaths worldwide.
It feels great because I'm looking at the future, what the older people kind of now do. So I'm looking at the future and what I can do when I'm older to help find a cure for this.
All the international competitors will be able to return to their home countries proud of their accomplishments here at Robofest. But nothing quite compares to the satisfaction native Michiganders feel knowing the World Championships are here in Southfield.
This is our state. We're holding something this big. We should cherish it.
Some of the best engineering, some of the best technology jobs is still in Michigan. It's still in Metro Detroit. You hear about all this stuff. You know, the Korean teams and teams from China, they're excellent. We can compete with them and we can beat them. It's possible. It shows that teams, from Michigan, teams from Southfield even, can go right up against the best in the world.
It's important to grow students who will be able to then branch out and help those industries.
We're doing this for the people of our home. I mean, we're going out there and showing them that we have this capability, that we can do this.
I mean, for Michigan in general, it's great to get exposure, to bring other countries into our area, to experience our local environment as well.
We are the second university in the whole country to actually have a degree program in robotics. And we wanted to host this program so that not only we can support the students who come here and make them available the opportunity Michigan has for them. They could come here and get the best training possible in robotics.
We found that when students visit Lawrence Tech, they really decide to come to Lawrence Tech.
Proof of the lasting legacy of Robofest comes in the form of exhibition judge Jamie McLennan, who has stayed around the program from high school through undergraduate studies and beyond.
I actually participated in it myself, starting about 6 years ago. I was on an all-girls team. My mom coached it, and I heard about it through my brothers, and we had to, it was a game competition. We had to move tennis balls to off the table, and bring a certain tennis ball back to the home base. So I started learning about how to follow a line, what programming logic was like, different ways you can code. And that was something that was completely new to me. And that's actually how I came to be a student at Lawrence Tech before choosing a major. I knew that's what I wanted, or that's what I was pursuing at the time, was robotics, because that was my favorite thing in school, was Robofest and being on the team. And I wanted to choose a major that could fit in with that. And that's how I got into engineering. I just graduated last week, so I've been involved with Robofest ever since then, judging and helping out in the office, things like that.
If there's one commonality between the many aspects of Robofest, it's a vision of the future. The young men and women take what they learn here and look forward to how they will make the world a better place. What incredible invention will come next? We'll find out in 2014.